Hey everybody, welcome back to the stream. Hope you guys are doing well. It's the Network Berg here, and I think this is the 6th episode, which is actually quite nice, because we get to play around in this lab again. I've already got somebody here that's wanting to ask a question. Hot failover. I'm not sure if I could really lab peplink on EVE-NG. It's not really image that they supply for this device, but I have set up multiple different failovers using MikroTik, Cisco, or Juniper as well. So it might be very similar on peplink, but I really can't say. Anyways, guys, welcome to the stream. Let's have a good chill out session. Just good music, good vibes, and learning. So I've already got my EVE topology open. Well, not topology, just the EVE-NG lab. And let's just go into the stream lab, because there's actually something that I just want to set up there, which has been bugging me in the back of my head for a bit. And this is when I created this L2TP tunnel that was going to this VRF. I essentially broke the EOIP tunnel to a different site. So I just want to create another router, maybe. We could even run it off of the same equipment. Actually, let's kind of do that. Let's build the EOIP on here as well. So let's just call this L2TP/EOIP. And we might have to make this block a little bit bigger to make this look nicer. And we might just do some stuff to make the topologies look nicer again. Let me just refresh here. There we go, and then we're just going to turn on all of the equipment. This firewall might stop working because I think I might have exceeded the 14-day trial license, maybe not. If I did, not a problem, we'll just import a new firewall and just upload the config on the new firewall. Oh, let me just turn down my sound on my actual headset because it's a little bit loud. Because I don't want to be speaking too loud. I don't know if you've ever realized that if you have the music on loud, then you just talk louder as well if you need to speak to somebody. Alright, let's see, everything's booting up. The peplink thing, if I think about it, like the next best thing I can think of that can do that, there is two firewalls. Firstly is the SD-WAN capability for Fortinet that allows you to bundle your WAN connections together. And that's probably the best thing, and that's something that I could try and show you. And alternate might be Sonic Wall, where you also kind of like you can add devices into a load balance, your WAN interfaces, and it does a similar thing. Thanks, John. I appreciate the words. Thanks, man. Everything's up and running. I just want to see if my lab is actually still alive, if everything's still working. So let's just maybe jump onto a CPE somewhere and see, do we have internet access out? So can we ping out? I'm failing to ping out, but I have a suspicion it has to do with this FortiGate. Let's just see if the thing is still live. Admin password. Show system int. Interesting. Let's just see, port 1 is supposed to connect. Oh, but I added a VLAN on port 1. Okay, that's normal. Can I actually ping out from the firewall? I can. Okay, so that's actually pretty good. So MikroTik doesn't really offer that type of functionality currently, and this is where we make the argument that MikroTik is a Swiss Army knife. You might hear some people talk about that, and that is because the things it can do, it does really well, but it doesn't have all of the capabilities of your other high-end vendors, specifically like your Cisco's and your Juniper, because there's certain features that I would love seeing on MikroTik, namely being ISIS or SD-WAN, or even HA, like actual high availability. Like that's not a thing on MikroTik. You can run a script for it and it works and I love it, but it's very risky and I don't like running scripts for something like HA. Actually, if I need to set up failover, I generally just do it with VRRP, because it has bitten me before where I've used an HA script and I don't want to repeat that mistake. So I'll wait for MikroTik to hopefully release stuff like that. But that's the thing about MikroTik, you ask it on their forums, like you make a request and they might or might not bring it out with a update or upgrade of their RouterOS version. But we can try and play along with some stuff. We could do PCC maybe, but it's not quite what you're referring to, but it allows you to load balance and both your links are active and everything's working. I actually think I did it in a previous stream as well. But I am just losing my position. I just wanted to make sure that internet is working. So let's just do that again. Can I actually ping out? Now I can. So there was probably just some session hicking up somewhere. So that internet's working, that stuff's working. I just want to sort out this EOIP tunnel to this other fiber customer quickly so that we have that functionality before I do other things in the lab again. So hang on, I might just need to pause my screen quickly. So sorry, be right back. Okay, good. All right, and we are back. Sorry, I just need to make sure I don't have any things that the viewers shouldn't be seeing. All right, so we've got our IXP. Let's connect to Ramon, and I want to find ISP CPE, ISP2 CPE1. Oof, I just connected to the IXP. That's fine. Let's just close one box, open it up again. Connect to Ramon. And let's see here. Did I even name it that? CP. Let me just see here. Admin blank. No, it's just called MikroTik. Does it even have Ramon enabled? I wonder. Tool Ramon set enable. Let's just print it quickly to see. It is enabled, so it should work. Does the other MikroTik have it enabled? Because if it doesn't, it's gonna fail. Tool Ramon print. Tool Ramon set enabled. Yes, that's awesome. And let's just maybe name these MikroTiks. MikroTik 20. Let's just give it a name like system identity set name ISP2 underscore PE1. Let's just call it that. All right, and let's just give ISP2-CPE1 an actual name as well. So system identity set name ISP2 underscore CPE1. Well, it was actually a dash. Let's just do that. Alright, that looks good. So if I reconnect onto the Ramon now, I should hopefully be able to connect to that CPE. Does it pick anything up? No, because maybe this other ISP router doesn't have it enabled. Let's just see. Tool Ramon print. Tool Ramon set enabled. Yes. To system identity set name. Let's just call this ISP2 underscore ASPR. And now I can see my routers. Amazing. Let's just connect. Close all these windows, and I want to just quickly have a good look here and see the EOIP is still configured. Hang on, is the tunnel actually up? But I'm pretty sure I took the interface out of the tunnel. Let's just see bridge ports. No, Ether 2 is still bound to the EOIP bridge. Let's just see the IP addressing Ether2. That 1091.01/24, that is what we gave for the VRF range last video. I might just move that to a different IP or a different interface. Let me just see. Let's just move that to Ether3. And then 192.168.88.3 is still on Ether2 as well. So I wonder, ping 192.168.88.2.1. I just want to get both of these MikroTiks next to each other. So this is the ISP2 CPE1. And then let's connect to, what is that? CPE 13. CPE 13. And there we go. Let's just close all these windows. Let's just look at our... I need to look at neighbors. Although the neighbors might be able to give me some inclination if the EOIP is up. No, I don't see anything. Let's look at our EOIP tunnel. I wonder, can I actually ping the tunnel IP 169.255.201.2? I'm failing to ping that, so there might be an issue with that. And on this ISP2 CP1, can I actually see that? Ping. Alright, so this is already not looking good. Let's just quickly run a trace route. I just want to bring this up a little bit. Okay. So, trace route 169.255.101.2. So that looks like it does get to the ISP2 at least. Wait, is 169.255.0 169.2? So this is actually router 7. And then 169.255. Oh, okay. All right, I see. I just quickly want to have a look from router 7's command line. Can I actually ping that 169 IP quickly? Admin blank ping 169.255.101.1.2. I cannot, but I should be able to ping it from the routing table for the, I think I called it fiber customers. Yes. Okay, so we can get there. So that looks good. Now I'm kind of lost in my own train of thought. So the Pascal, it's literally just random. This isn't like a structured course where I'm going to be like, in this stream I'm going to teach you how to do this. This is more or less just figuring out a bunch of different things on different systems. I might jump back onto the RouterOS version 7 BGP lab because I did get the BGP working behind the scenes, and we might just bring that up quickly as well, just to give a small showcase of that working. But right now in this lab, what I'm doing is I've broken EOIP in the previous lab between ISP2-CPE1 and CPE13 for ISP1, and I just want to re-establish that EOIP connectivity. I might do something with OSPF as well, just because there's a bit of a, I don't want to say a test, but I have been playing around with the idea of, well, it's not really playing around. I can technically export my EVNG Pro Labs and you can import them into EVNG Community Edition. So I might make like a mini OSPF lab that's very just concentrated on OSPF, so that we could put that in a format, create a lab template for it so that people might be able to import that. Anyways, let me just continue with this EOIP business. I actually think the EOIP, because it looks like the tunnel was established. I'm just not getting any RX, which is not good. So I'm actually just trying to remember what I did with the EOIP and the move I made with the L2TP, because that is kind of what broke the EOIP in the first place. Was we added L2TP to this router. Oh, this might actually cause issues. So we have a default route over 172.23.0.1. Okay, that's actually fine. Or is it? Or is it? No, it's not fine, because now I'm routing all my traffic for internet just over the L2TP tunnel IP. So let's just add another static route here. And let's just push the IP address, the public IP, the range, over the normal WAN path. And then let's quickly see, can I ping? Can't ping that yet. I might just want to kill the EOIP in the meantime as well. Because I am expecting that I should be able to ping at least the IP addresses, the public IP addresses between the devices. What's the IP address on this ISP2 CPE1? 169.255.201.2. Can't ping that. 169.255.201. No, 101. Let's just turn this back on, because I know the traffic does get to router 7, which is the ASPR for ISP1, and then our MPLS is kind of masking that. So let's just see from router 6 at least, which is the last hop before we actually get to CP13. So that's kind of what I checked a little bit earlier, John, was from, let's just jump on router 6. And then from router 6, but let's just do a quick lookup, IP route, print, and then we just do a where routing mark equals, and then that's for the fiber customers. And then we can see there's the public IP. So it is in the right VRF. And in theory, I can ping 169.255.201, which is the public IP at ISP2, .2 via the fiber customers. Interesting. So I can't ping this from router 6, but I could ping it from router 7. Let's just see. Yes. But that is very interesting, actually. And this is what we want to figure out now. So from router 6, I actually can't get to that IP. But it sort of makes sense as well, because there is what IP address is the traffic going to source from on router 6. Let's just source it quickly as 169.255.101.1, which is the IP address on router 6. Okay, I'm just going to leave that ping running quickly, and then I want to check on router 7, do I actually see that traffic? So let's just jump on Winbox again. Router 7. Let's get on you, my friend. Close all these windows. And let's just have a look here. On my VRF fiber customers, can I actually torch the traffic, and do I see anything going to... Well, I actually see it there already. Alright. Let me just see, is this firewall actually up? It was up, it was working, but like I said, I'm actually a bit hesitant on it. What is this thing's IP address? Admin. I might have messed up the password. Hello, Running Fever. Welcome to the stream, Mr. Moderator. Show system int. So I think this IP I could reach last time by my browser. Admin password. Later. I should still have a good few, like a day left on this. Alright. So that doesn't look weird to me. I just want to run a debug from the firewall and see if the traffic is actually leaving. Diagnose debug flow filter. So you could probably just peer directly with NAP. That is an option. They do have peering points in Cape Town and Johannesburg. I'm not sure about Durban, but sorry for the people that's not in South Africa. Like NAP is just like one of our IXPs that we have here. You got your Jinxes and all the other ones, but NAP is more commonly used, and you could just peer directly with them. Just make contact with NAP and tell them you want to peer. Like, that should be totally fine. Diagnose debug flow filter, source address 169.255.101.2. Diagnose debug flow filter, destination, and this is just us checking traffic going to that public address. Diagnose debug flow, trace start. Let's just see, do we pick up that traffic? And we need to test from CPE 13. That is something we can do now, John, as well. The packet capture or packet sniffing. But I can see the traffic is hitting the firewall. It is going out. So this looks pretty good to me. Let's just stop the ping. Because this is essentially me just doing kind of like a debug from the firewall. Let me just open up Notepad+. So it comes in from the fiber customer, and then it pushes it to the untrust interface. Alright, and then it's getting natted out. I don't actually think that should be natted out, to be honest. Give me a seckie. I just want to have a look at my policies here. So that shouldn't need to be natted, to be honest. I'm just going to disable that quickly. Because why would I be Yeah, the North, that's true. Like all the IXPs, they have like these acronyms, and it's these little like names and stuff. So nap sounds funny because it sounds like you're taking a nap, you're going to sleep. But it's pretty big in my country, like just where you want to peer. Let's just see here. If I run my ping, Holy smokes. What a surprise. It's working now. I'm actually just wondering how the EOIP was working before. Because I know it was working before. I'm just wondering if it was before or after I added the NAT rule. Anyways, let's just quickly turn the EOIP stuff back on, if it isn't already. This looks a bit more promising. This looks way more promising. Yeah, the problem was the NAT on the FortiGate. So the FortiGate was basically NATing its IP address out as its public WAN IP. And I think that was just kind of like getting lost in translation. So that was the issue. Fun bit of troubleshooting. I just want to see, can I actually ping across on our EOIP? But I'm pretty sure I can, since I like seeing this RS on both of the EOIP tunnels. So that looks normal, that looks good. If I look at my neighbors, I should be able to pick up some more neighbors now. And I do, I pick up the neighbor over the EOIP, which is normal. And can I ping my neighbor? I can. So EOIP sorted out. Awesome. So this will put my mind to rest. So I stop thinking about EOIP when I close my eyes to go to bed. Like, oh man, I need to fix that EOIP that I messed up in my last lab. It's like sticking out like a sore thumb. Alright, now let's turn off all this equipment again, because I don't want to be adding any more to this topology just yet. Because I think this will confuse a lot of new viewers if I just throw this topology and tell you, hey, we're going to do all of this and that. This topology was built over 5 video sessions. And I mean, it's close to like 12 hours of config that we just played around with on this lab. So I get how it can be daunting for somebody new watching. Hey, what the heck's going on? But there is really some valuable information if you watch the stream, like the streams from beginning, because I did go into some pretty good details how to set up MPLS from the beginning, OSPF, all that good stuff. Anyways, gonna close this lab off. I might have to refresh the topology. No, we're fine. Close that. And let's just head on to this MikroTik ROS v7 beta test, because this was interesting to me as well. So we had 4 different routers. They're just connected to my management network. We called the routers Apollo, Mars, Vulcan, Zeus. And offline, I was able to get Vulcan and Zeus to communicate on BGP. So it's quite interesting on RouterOS v7. It's almost like they've made BGP. I don't want to say broadcast, because you know we're getting rid of broadcast, but you're able to specify a subnet, and your BGP connection will then send out hellos to that whole network to try and form BGP connections. So that's pretty cool and wacky, and it's kind of like, hey, it's almost like OSPF, but it's not. And it's definitely not OSPF, but that's kind of what it's doing, and it's interesting. I can see how it has a good use case, especially if you are maybe an ISP and you use BGP for failover to your customers, and you could just have this single BGP connection, and this one connection could then form peers with all of your networks that you have in a specific range. So that's quite nice. Let's just look at our neighbors. I only turned on Vulcan and Zeus, and I just want to see, is Vulcan and Zeus actually still working? So let's just put Zeus on the right and put Vulcan on the left. So what are you boys up to? What are you doing? Are you still behaving? Are we still learning routes? I really hope we are. Yes, we are actually still learning some BGP routes here. That looks good. It's just weird to me that I am learning my own. It's not weird, but it's like I didn't set that to be advertised. And that's also something that's weird on RouterOS v7. If I go into my routing and BGP, you used to have your networks tab and then you specify which networks you want to advertise, or maybe you would go into your BGP instance and you would say which route you want to redistribute, and that's how you send the routes out. So that's not the case here. That has kind of changed. So in essence, what you get with this new version is you get templates and you get the actual connection. So think of the connection as the peers that you will be forming. So this is where you put in the information on how you're going to be connecting with your peers. And your template, even though you could fill in template information here at the top side in your connection, think of this just as a base template where you can specify, like the instance, what your AS number is, what your router ID is. Here you can change some of the BGP attributes, set your routing table, no client to client. Okay, that I don't like. Anyways, here we can turn on the BFD. Here we can set filters. So here is the thing that's weird for me. We get this output network. So this is where you would say which networks you technically want to advertise out. So you would be creating a address list in your firewall, depending if it's v4 or v6. And in this address list, you'd say what the network is, and then you could say in that output network what networks you're sending out. I think it's very similar to how Juniper handles BGP advertisements. Sure, I could do that as well. But John, in summary, the BGP is just made faster. I think what they've done is it no longer just runs on a single core, which was a bit of a bottleneck for many of the devices. Because I mean, if you're connected to an IPT or you're directly connected to a internet exchange, you're learning so many routes, and it can become quite an issue if you're doing all that and then you want to start doing other things with BGP, like connecting to more peers on your own network. It just doesn't work well. But they have made it so it is on multiple CPUs now. I think the best people to explain it is MikroTik themselves. I'll put a link in the chat quickly, though I don't want you to just go away from my stuff, but give it a watch. It is from, I think the guy's name is Norman, from MikroTik, and him and his colleague actually explain all the changes in RouterOS v7 with BGP. Yes, this was the video. Okay, I'm just quickly going to share this link in YouTube. There we go. So, yes, Normus, that's him. Like, he's actually a really nice guy. I haven't like met him or we're friends or anything, but I have seen him at the MUM in South Africa, and he's very knowledgeable. He knows what's going on, and just watching him and his colleagues speak about all of the changes in RouterOS v7 is really nice to watch. Like, you can hear how excited they are to bring it out, even though since that video they have changed a few things on how BGP works. In essence, it still works the same, but if you just follow their base config template, it doesn't work that well either. It's the same as when I went onto the wiki for RouterOS v7. So let me just open that up on here. I think it is ROS v7 BGP. Wait. Basic routing examples. Yeah. So this is where I was basing my configuration off of. In the previous video, I was going through this. He's really cool guy, John. Really cool guy. Like, I met him in the sense of I spoke to him briefly while he was handing out like little gifts and stuff. But that was really cool. Alright, but here you see this is the configuration I based the stuff up last time, but it wasn't that meaningful to me because this didn't really work in the end when I was trying to set up the BGP connection, because namely my role wasn't iBGP, it was eBGP. But I mean, it kind of makes sense if you just look at the setup, and we will do the setup quite briefly. We'll actually set it up on Apollo and Mars as well, just to get things working. I might have to just start them up, and then let's see if we can get the BGP working on RouterOS v7 for them. So I just quickly want to jump onto Apollo, and then we're just gonna compare the config. It might be easier to do it through the command line just initially, because it's way simpler to compare configs if it's on a config level instead of just checking what's happening between Winbox. So you might see me just open up Vulkan quickly, and then what we're going to look at is admin blank routing BGP, and we can just export all of this. So this is what we've said. We've created a template, and in the template it is the default template. Our AS we specified as 10.10. It's not in a disabled state. Our output networks, that was that networks tab that we filled in to say which networks we want to advertise, even though I feel like that isn't working right now. It might just be a bug, or it might be me doing something wrong, but I'm still learning all the networks that I've got configured, so it doesn't seem like it's working. We've got a router ID specified, and what the routing table is. Okay, so let's just replicate this over onto Apollo quickly. So all we're going to do is bring that up a bit. Admin blank routing BGP template. Let's just export that. So I have no template at the moment. So let's just do routing BGP template. Let's set default. Our AS is going to be, I think I used 10 and 20 for Vulkan and Zeus. Let me just quickly check what Zeus's AS is, because it's definitely not this AS65003 or 000. Admin blank routing BGP export 20. So 10, 20. We can maybe make it, let's make it 65000. It should be fine. Which MikroTik is which now? Because I haven't given them names. So that is just MikroTik 3. Alrighty. So your AS will be 65000. I won't specify the output network yet. Let's just do a router ID equals 9.9.9.1. And the routing table, but this should be default main routing BGP template. Let's just print this. And that looks fine. Let's just add a BGP connection now. So it's routing BGP connection. And then we could just set the template. I just want to see where we set that. Templates. Oh, we want to add. Templates is default. Our connect we want to set on yes. Our listen we want to set on yes. So that's so that it can initiate connectivity, and it also listens for connections. This was important. Local.address. So think of this as the address that you will be initiating your peering from. So I actually kind of need to see what is Apollo's IP. Let's just do that. Cancel that. IP address print. So that's 100. So the local address is 192.168.74.100. We need to set the role. That is weird. I just want to copy this into a notepad so it's easier for everybody else to see as well, maybe. So there we've got the local address. Let me just throw this all. Let's just see dot. Why doesn't it allow me to specify the role here? Oh, there's a local dot role. And we can just set this as eBGP. We can make the name something, BGP1. I'm not setting any output network yet. We can set the remote address, but let's set this as a range, as a network. And this is what I was mentioning. So I could just say anything in the 192.168.74.0/24 network I want to try and form BGP peers with. Is there anything else I need to do here? Because when I use that, it should also be able to pull what the remote AS is. You'll see when I actually do this. Let's just see, can I just add that? It might not work yet because it's not all of the config, but it'll make more sense to me now when we also get this on Winbox. So let's jump on Winbox and find Apollo. I think I'm still connected somewhere. And then from here we can go to routing, BGP. Do we have anything in the peer cache? No, this is empty. Default 6500009991. That's nice, that's fine, that's normal. Connection. So remote AS. Why is this? Because there we see when I specified the template, it automatically filled in what my AS is and what my router ID is. I didn't put that in. That was populated from the template that I put in. My remote AS, it should be able to pull that in from like the hello packets that it receives back. But let's just oh, but I don't have anything. I might make a slight update to Vulkan and Zeus, but this might break things. So stick around or don't. But let's just quickly update that as well. I'm going to leave this AS blank as well. And I'm going to do the same on Zeus. So in our connections, I'm just going to remove the AS. I'm going to set the remote address as a range. And let's see, can we actually get some peers here? So 102 was for Vulkan. I'm just not sure if the BGP is actually still live. Well, it shows I'm still learning some routes. My local role looks fine. Let's jump onto Apollo. Local role is fine, local address is fine. And I might just quickly restart Apollo. And this is kind of a, let's say, what happens when we work on beta or beta versions. Things are not always working the way they should. Because I remember I had to actually restart Vulkan and Zeus as well for the changes to take effect. Let's quickly have a look here. Sorry, there's like a helicopter or something flying over my house. I'm not sure why. So Apollo, you're not doing anything there. Is your BGP doing anything? I'm not even seeing anything there. Let's maybe change this connection. Slight tweak. So 102 is Vulkan. So let's just try and force a connection to 102. And what is Vulkan's AS10? Let's just try and force this connection quickly. Do you guys see what I'm seeing? I am picking up a peer cache now, and I saw actually some routes in the BGP come up. This is too weird. So think of the peer cache as the section that you would actually see if your peers are connected or not. Like you remember in peers, you'll see your peer, and then from there you could resend and refresh your stuff. So this is what you do in the peer cache now. I'm not happy that I need to create this static connection though, because all I did now was force the connection to Vulkan's address with the AS specified. And the video kind of says that shouldn't have to be a thing. But it seems like it is. So let's just do 102 AS10. Just copy this thing, and then we can make AS20 and 103, which is Zeus. And let's see, can we actually connect to Zeus? Hang on a second. I just want to disable this peer to Zeus. That is really weird. So yeah, I'm gonna need a sorry, John. It might be me as well, but don't feel lost. I can kind of see what's happening here as well, because if I look at my Apollo router, which is where I've got BGP configured now to a single peer to Vulkan on AS10, but I'm learning routing for Zeus's range, and it's using Zeus's gateway as well. So it looks like it's doing what they're saying it's supposed to do, but I haven't configured it in that way. I've configured it with a static, let's say, peer. So this is, I don't want to say it's wrong or anything, but it's working, but it's not how it's supposed to be working. So I'm just going to actually close this down, and I think we want to wait for another beta version, because it's still fresh on the table. They've only recently given us access to play around with the BGP, and this is on a CHR as well. It's not like on a CCR. I think when they did the lab on the video, they used a 2.04, which is a very good model, even though in theory the CHR should outperform it, because you can assign as much resources as you want to a CHR. Alright, let's do something more simpler. Let's do something that everybody can follow along with, and it shouldn't be a headache for you to like keep track of. So let's do something like a miniature OSPF lab, because I'm sure I did see somebody asking about OSPF, and it is not difficult. I mean, it was in the first stream. I did OSPF really quickly, but let's just scale it down, make it a lot smaller, and just make a dedicated OSPF lab. So MikroTik OSPF lab version 1. Let's just zoom in there. The Network Berg is the author. Let's save that. Let's just add 4 nodes. This I also still want to do on a lab. The Viptela SD-WAN. It's really nice. John, I'm pretty sure it's a bug. Because, namely, I configured a direct, like, static peer to one peer, but the other peer was broadcasting its routes to me, so that was very unexpected. Some MikroTiks we can get. I haven't done multi-area OSPF with WireGuard. I think the best thing I've done with WireGuard is just use it as a VPN tunnel. I don't think I've tried running stuff like OSPF over WireGuard. Might be worth checking, but again, that is on a beta build on MikroTik, so it's not something I can recommend or actually go into or advise people to like set up, because it is at the end of the day still beta and it might not work as it should. Let's just call these P for provider. Actually, let's call them R. Let's call them R. Give them the basic router image, and we want 4 of these. For sure. You are a little bit limited with the authentication on MikroTik, because it doesn't have state-of-the-art security, but you could do stuff like MD5, I think. Let's actually bring that up. Let me add 2 MikroTiks. And let's add maybe a... I don't know if I want to do that. I haven't worked in Juniper in a long time. Let's just bring in a Cisco. I wonder if this works. I'm not too sure if this image works. Let's just try. But again, OSPF is open standard, and the protocol isn't like limited by a vendor barrier. So you could form OSPF neighbors with Cisco or Juniper or any other vendor, and your stuff will work just fine. Let's connect ETH that to that. Connect this to this. Connect you to you. And let's maybe bring in... Yeah, no, it does. MikroTik does it perfectly fine. It's just some people want like BGP sec, which version 7 for RouterOS supports, but version 6 doesn't have that either. What else do I want to bring in? Actually, I don't want to bring in another node. I just want to bring in a network. Make this a little cloud, or the globe. Let's make it the globe. Bring that into my management network, just so that we can get some internet going as well. I didn't connect that properly. We can bring that like there. Typically I like seeing 4 routers. I don't know why 3 bugs me, but it's fine. Let's just set this up quickly. Let me just first see if the Cisco is working, because if it doesn't work, we're not gonna have a good time. Oh, it does work. And to be fair, I haven't worked on Cisco in a while either, so you will see me hit that question mark or go to some Google and figure this out again. But it should all be pretty straightforward. Enable show IP and breathe. All our ports are shut by default, so that's normal. So we can just quickly unshut them. Interface range E00 to 3. No shut. WR. Now we need to figure out how do we want to assign IP. So that's always the nice thing about being a network architect, we're going to design and make this network however we want. So let's just add some text here. And I like being in the 10 range, even though it is private and a lot of companies use it as well. But you might make something like 10, 169, 200. Like you might rarely see somebody use that, but let's use that. Let's duplicate that, throw it there. Oh, wait. Let's make it look nicer from the get-go. So what we could do is change this maybe to a nice blue fill there, make the text white, and make the text bold. There we go, that looks quite nice. So now we know you are that. If I wanted to, I could turn or rotate the address, but I'm not gonna go that far. .8. And now I need to think about my IPs. So .1. That's fine. I don't know if I want to make it like a nice full for that either. Let's make router 1's IPs .1. Okay, wait, this should be .2. You should be .5. Make it on the outside, that'll look a little bit nicer. .6. And you can be .9 and .10. So now we know which IPs are going where. Well, that should be real simple, real easy. Let's just jump on router 1. Admin blank no IP. Let's just do this tool Ramon set enable. Yes, system identity set name. That was R1. Then we can do an IP address, add address equals 10.169.200.1/30 on ether 1, and then on ether 2 we've got .5, and we're going to do a little bit of a additional thing. We're going to do our IP DHCP client. Let's just print that. So ether 1's got DHCP currently configured, so let's just IP DHCP client, let's remove 0, and let's do an IP DHCP client add 1. Our interface will be ether 3 because that is coming into my management network. We want to say it is not disabled, and we want to add a default route. Let's do an IP DHCP client print. So I've got an IP address and I should have the internet. The internet, it's here. All right, that looks good. Let's just add a NAT rule as well. IP firewall NAT add. This is a source NAT. Our out interface is ether 3. And our action is mask. Nice, so this means that when I configure stuff on these other routers, they'll also have some breakout. Cool. Now let's do some configuration on the other routers. I haven't even started with the OSPF yet. How crazy is that? Admin blank no tool Ramon set enabled, yes. What we want is identity, system identity name, set name. This is R2, and our IP addresses is 10. What was it? 169.200.6.9.6/30 on Ether 1 and Ether 2. And let's just jump onto router 3, which is the Cisco, which we don't have that Winbox GUI, but it's fine. If we're used to CLI, we can figure anything out. So I can't do Ramon on the router, but we can do a few other things. Config T, host name, URR3. And this is also pretty cool. If we do a show CDP neighbors, what do we see there? So MikroTik is making kind of use of CDP. They just call it MDP or whatever, but it's CDP. Even HP does it. So you could see like what the platform is, what port it's connected to on the other side, all that good stuff. All right. Anyways, let's continue. We want to just add an IP address quickly. So IP, no, interface, and I'm looking for ETH00 IP address. This address will be 10.169.200.2. And then, if I recall, we need to do this. And then we'll add an IP address. No! You see how easy it is to just get stuck on a vendor? We can WR this. Actually, we can quit. End. Config T. Interface. And that is E01 IP address. Add IP address 10.169.200.10/30. Okay. Show IP in brief. Let's see. Can I ping 10.169.200.1? Nice. We can ping .1, and as you know, that first packet on Cisco usually says, "What's your ARP? Who are you?" Alright, that looks fine. Can I get to .9? Yes. Alright, so router 3 can communicate with router 1 and 2. I just want to make sure can router 2 communicate with router 1 and 3, and then we're actually good. IP address print, ping 10.169.200.5 and .10. Alright, so now we can start our little OSPF journey on MikroTik and Cisco. Hey, happy kid. So it's a really hard nut to crack, because many companies view the, let's say, responsibilities of a network engineer differently. Some of them might have you even engage in stuff like server infrastructure. So I could tell you, it's difficult for me to just say go study the CCNA, because I can't tell you you're definitely going to get a job. It depends on the companies you're interested in joining and what they're kind of looking for in network engineers. But if you want to work in an ISP, typically you would want to go for a CCNA, just because it is such a general all-rounder certification. But then again, it's just Cisco, and there's a lot of Cisco proprietary things in there. Like if you go for the CCNA, you need to, let's say, know how Cisco access points work. It goes into the theory of wireless, which is obviously like open standard, let's say, but it covers a lot of the, like, what is a Cisco wireless controller? How does that thing work? And you also learn more about Cisco's network automation instead of just the general broad topic. I am currently not offering any type of consulting services. I'm considering it in the future, but currently I work a full-time job, and the time that I have off, I like to just make the videos and have a good time. And also, it's crazy, I'm about to become a father next week Wednesday, so looking forward to that. Still wondering how it's going to affect all of my other time, but I'm so excited about that as well. Oh, hey, Network Berg. I want to like play your horn and stuff, but I can't. So thanks for being here as well, man. So my Eve server it's running over a gaming PC. I've actually, hang on, I want to see. Can we do this quickly? Because I do get this question a lot, and I do tend to show people, but I don't have like a fancy bare metal big server that's just dedicated for Eve. This is my gaming computer as well, which I use for my labbing, because it does have quite nice resources. So I do run a Core i5 10600K, but the CPU, it's important, but you know. But for my lab, I've assigned between 6 and 12 vCPUs, and then technically your memory is your other bottleneck that you want to have a look at. So I am running some Corsair whatever stuff, but it's really clocking at these speeds that you see on the screen now. So this isn't like a big server, it's just a gaming computer. I've ran EVNG Community Edition off of my work laptop before, which was a lot smaller. It had like 4 gig memory, and it was fine for running very small labs and not like turning on a ton of equipment like routers and devices at the same time. Anyways, let's just continue quickly with these routers so we can get the OSPF set up. Thanks, Happy Kid. If you're looking at working for a wireless ISP, then I would recommend, I won't say MikroTik specifically, because MikroTik is very strong in the wireless field, because most of the service providers use the hardware for its routing capabilities, but they typically tend to also make use of other vendors like Ubiquiti and LigaWave and stuff like that for radio frequency. So that's also a different field completely in networking, is radio frequency, and it's something sorry about that, I suck at radio frequency. I'm really bad at like looking at the signal strength. I mean, it sounds typical, but you think you understand wireless, and you put down a point-to-point link and everything looks amazing, and you put it down and everything works, and then a week later the customer's phoning you, hey, my internet is slow. And then when you log onto the management platform again, you can see what the heck, there's interference, the signal's what it was, and then like either the pole shifted or a tree branch has grown in front of the dish. It's such a weird space. It's interesting, and it does pay well as well, but I like to just work in routing, switching, firewalling. That's where I'm good at, and I leave it to the professionals when it comes to radio frequency. And that's something, wow, man, today I struggled with one of the weirdest integrations, and it was, I don't know if you guys know what SAML is, SAML. It's basically like your multi-factor authentication, but it's kind of like joining that from an Azure AD to your FortiGate so that you pull your groups through. Man, that whole scenario turned my brain to mush. So that might also be why I'm like a bit disorientated in this lab. Yeah, Vinoth, with like the trees are always an issue. Let's just do the OSPF now. So routing OSPF. We're just going to change some stuff on the instance, and that is namely a router ID. So let's just add some more text, because I want to make sure we understand where which router ID is. And I typically just like to make it like 999.x is router ID. Even though technically 999 dot whatever is a public address that you shouldn't be using anywhere. It's like back in the day when everybody was using 1.1.1.1 as their router ID, and then this magical thing happened. I think it's Cloudflare, or who uses that for the DNS now, but it confused so many people. Hang on, I just want to loop this as well, make sure I don't. Alright, that's good. Alright, so now we know which router is which ID. Ooh. So routing OSPF instance set router ID 9.9.9.1. Is there anything else I want to set here? Let's just see. We won't change the name. I might actually just do that. I might just set a router ID. And then we want to do routing OSPF network add. Then our network will be, we could be lazy and just make it 10.0.0.0/8, but we're not lazy. We are responsible network engineers, so we will make this 10.169.200.0/30 and .4. This is the backbone. There we go. So now if I do a routing OSPF neighbor, not network, neighbor, if I print this, I'm not going to have any neighbors, obviously, because I haven't configured the other side. But if I do a routing OSPF interface and I print that, you'll see I've created two dynamic interfaces which run as broadcast, and we could just print this as status so we can properly see what's happening in the config. So we can see what the costs are, what the transmits are, the delays, all that good stuff. And it's currently waiting. It's just going, I'm waiting for my neighbor to talk to me. I'm just relaxing by the bus stop. That's what I'm doing. So let's bring a neighbor up. Let's get this router 2 talking. So routing OSPF instance set router ID 9992 routing OSPF network add, and our networks is .4 and .8 10.169.200.4 on the backbone. And then I want to go back to router 1 and let's just do a print here. Hey, what's happened here? We've got a designated router. So that tells me there is a neighborship happening. So we can do an IP, or not IP, we're going to routing OSPF neighbor. We can print that and we see we do have a neighborship with router 2 now. And it is a full state. Awesome. Now comes the fun part. I'm probably going to butcher this and have to Google some stuff, but let's just get on it anyways. So let's just enable router 3, config T. If I remember something, it's like, no, it's not. Is it router OSPF? Yes. And then we just need to specify an ID. This is just a process ID. This isn't like your area or anything. This is just a process ID that the Cisco makes sense of. So we want to set a router ID as 9993, and we want to set our network. Our network is 10.169.200.0. Hello. Wildcard bits. Ooh, I hate wildcard bits. I think that should classify. No, that should classify as the wildcard bit. Can't I just do that? No. Because it can't be. Will that actually work? That doesn't seem right to me. I'm going to probably change this just now. Area 0. And then .8. Okay, never mind. Why did it say the wildcard bits though? Anyways, because I know that's typically what you do on a Cisco access list, but I don't recall that being a thing on OSPF. And that's fine. IP route. Let's just WR this, IP route print. Oh, show IP route. Alright, so I'm learning a route over OSPF. What I think I would like to do as well is just add some loopback addresses quickly and make that the same as the router ID. So int LO0 IP address 999.3, and that'll be your loopback address. And we're just going to go back into the router OSPF 1, and let's just advertise that network as well. 999.3 255 area 0. And the area 0 is just a backbone. It exists on all of the routers because it's there by default. It kind of needs to be there. Your backbone is where you're gonna be building, like, everything needs to connect to the backbone. Like if you bring in different areas like area 1 or area 10 or 100 or 5,000, even though I don't think you can do that, that area is still going to connect to area 0 as the backbone when you have what we call a ABR or a area border router. Yes, an ABR, which is a router that exists simultaneously between two different areas so that it can exchange routing information between the areas. Let me just quickly jump onto router 1, and if I do an IP route print here, I am learning the route that we are sending from router 3, which is the Cisco, to router 1. So let's just quickly add the loopback address here. So interface bridge add, our name is LO0, and let's add an IP address as 9.9.9.1 on LO0. And then if we go into our routing OSPF network add, you can add 9991 as a network on a backbone. And let's not forget about our good friend router 2. So hello Mr. Router 2, we just want to do, let's just add the network so long, even though it won't advertise anything because there is no active route for it. 9.9.9.2, and then we can do a interface bridge add name equals LO0, and then we can add the IP address 9.9.9.2 to LO0. Awesome. So if I go back to router 3, which is the Cisco, and I do a show IP route, I'm learning more routes. Fantastic. So I'm learning .1, .2, and their connected routes via the OSPF. Can I actually ping 9.9.9.1? I can. Can I ping .2? I can. Groovy. This is awesome. So we've got our OSPF base set up. I just want to close these boxes. And I might want to expand and just bring in a 4th router. And we might make it a Juniper. I might struggle, but it's okay. It's good to struggle. It's good to look foolish sometimes. So Juniper routers is a bit weird on Eve because your control and data planes are very separated. So you see I've got a VCP and a VFP. So think of the VFP as the interface where your links go into, and then the VCP is actually the device that you configure. It'll make sense when I connect it. So I might do something like this. G000. Let's connect that Cisco on E02 on G001. And then on the Juniper, we just want to connect the VCP to the VFP on its int, I think. And then we just want to start this puppy up as well. And while that starts up, let's just quickly decide which addresses do we want to add here. So you could be .12. You could be, but I feel like we're going to struggle with the Juniper, but it's okay. .16. I actually said the same thing about the Cisco and it wasn't that bad, was it? I might just need to refresh. Because think of this as one unit. Let's just log in here. See what the Juniper's doing. But Junos is a very, very, very beefy OS. Like, this thing takes a while to boot up. I mean, it's the same with a proper Cisco, not this lightweight image that I'm running. But yeah, this is a good lab to play around with. Now we've got three, which I consider three of the best routing and switching vendors. Definitely the routing. Switching, it's debatable. Like, there's a lot of good switching vendors, especially with HP and Huawei. Like, they do the job as well. Like, I can't tell you like these switches, this and that is the best. Like, it's all kind of down to preference as well, and what your goals are when you want to put down switches and routers in your production network and when you're building your network. I mean, for some people, you don't have the option to say, hey, I'm going to put down a bazillion Nexus Cisco switches, because those devices cost an arm and a leg. If me as a person, I can't afford a Nexus switch, even if I wanted to lab, I'd never be able to buy that. So this is why I do use stuff like EVNG, because if you can get a hold of the image, then you can at least spin up the software and you can play around with it and set it up and, you know, make things work. Because on the data center side, people want persons that have experience, typically on Cisco Nexus switches as well, because they're so widely used. What are you doing, Mr. Juniper? Are you online yet? You are still booting. And while that happens, let's just jump onto Winbox on one of our neighbors. Well, it should just be R1. Let's see on R1 what is happening. Can anybody tell me, what does LSA stand for? What is an LSA? How long is this Juniper going to take? Man, this takes forever. I know there's something I'm going to have to Google, because I know the Juniper tries to do some type of auto provisioning, and we're going to put a stop to that when we actually get onto the device. Micro Juniper. Make you .4. Add these IPs so long while we wait. Yes, Vinoth. So it is link state announcement, but that is typically, it is an advert. It is your OSPF is advertising. It's announcing and saying, hey guys, I have these updates, or these routes are good or they're no longer good. That's typically what we'd see in the LSAs. And do you guys know what a LSDB is? So just assign these IPs like this. Oh, you could be .17. Actually, I like this Cisco to have an even number. Let's not break the streak. Albin is correct. Good job, Albin. So yes, it is the link state database. That is what the LSDB stands for. So it's basically just, think of it as the routing table of the OSPF, keeping track of all of the routes that it's learned. And I'm going to show you that now in a sec on the MikroTik as well. So dot UR69. What can I make you? 13? And 14. I feel like I want to switch that. No, we can leave it as is. I'm pretty sure this Juniper should be up now. It is. Okay. So the login is root. I haven't set a password, which is fine. And now we're on an actual Juniper. We just want to boot into the CLI. So we could do stuff like show routers. And we don't have any routing at the moment. This I want to turn off. So we're just quickly going to go into our configure, delete that, and commit. And how do I end? Exit. There we go. So now I shouldn't get spammed by this auto provisioning that keeps it try and happen. All right, cool. Now we actually have a Juniper. If I do a show interfaces, there's all our interfaces. Nice, VTEPs. Who knows what a VTEP is? And while you think about VTEP, I'm just quickly going to assign some IPs to these interfaces. Did I not connect 0? Oh no, 000 and 001. All right, that's fine. So what we should do is configure. And then we want to go into set interfaces. This should be GE 0, like that. I'm just trying to recall where to set the IP first, because Juniper is a little bit different. We're not setting a link mode. Unit 0. Did I have an address family there? Family inet address. You see how much different this is already as compared to the MikroTik or the Cisco. In theory it does the same thing, it's just different. What do we want to add here? 10.169 200.14/30. That looks good to me. And then 0.0.0.0.0.1, we want to set that as .17. Let's commit this. Let us quit. And if I now do a show interface choice, I should see there are IP addresses assigned to these interfaces. I haven't assigned it to the Cisco or the MikroTik yet, so we're not going to be able to ping. So let's just quickly do that. So router 2, how are you doing, router 2? I just want to add an IP address for you quickly. So your address is 10.169.200.13/30 on your Ether 3. Can I ping 10.169.200.14? Yeah, it's working. Let's just do the same on the Cisco. Enable you. Let's go into your config T. Your interface is E02. Your IP address is 10.169.200.18 on a /30 subnet. WRU and C, can you ping the Juniper? Nice. So the Cisco can get to the Juniper as well. So now we've got a Juniper, a Cisco, and 2 MikroTiks and some internet. Oh, one thing I want to do on the OSPF quickly is on router 1, before I set up OSPF on this Juniper, on router 1, I want to basically redistribute the default route so that router 3, router 2, and even the Juniper will get internet access through router 1. Now I just want to verify that internet isn't working by just going to, let's just close router 2 there because I've got it open twice. Let's go to router 2 and see, can I ping 8.8.8.8 from router 2? I cannot, and it's quite typical. What the issue is, we don't have a route to host. If I do an IP route print, I can see my OSPF routes, I can see my directly connected routes, but I'm not learning a default route. So I essentially fix this just by adding a static route to router 1. But let's not do that. Let's do this with the OSPF. So I'm just going to jump onto router 1. And I might do this through Winbox because it's already open. And then if I go into my routing and in my OSPF, here's my interfaces that have been dynamically created, but that doesn't matter. We're going to go into our instances, and in my instance, if I double click on this, you'll see these are routes that I redistribute. It's basically send out to my neighbors. So I might tell this thing redistribute a default route, and it's currently set to never. Now I have two options as well. I can always set a default route as type 1 or as type 2, or I could set it as if installed. That means only if a default route is being learned, then redistribute that route out. This you'll typically do if you have a BGP configuration where you're learning the default route from, or maybe even something simple like a triple PoE connect, but that shouldn't be the case. But let's say you've got a triple PoE connection, you're learning a default route from that. That is what if installed would do. But I'll just say as always as type 1, I'm going to apply that. And then what will happen is if I go to router 2 and I do an IP route print, now I'm learning a default route through the OSPF. It's telling my neighbors how to get internet access. You know, the type 1 and type 2 thing, it's gotten me as well. Like I don't even really know what's the difference. I mean, I just tend to see type 1 as being a more preferenced or preferred route to take. So let's say difference between type 1 and type 2, not diabetes, OSPF. And there's some Juniper guide, and there's some Cisco stuff, and there's a this and a that, and there's a Reddit post. Reddit is a good place to find information as well. So there we say external type 1 will add a cost of each link to the ASPR originating. This is useful if you want to use the most optimal path to the exit point. External type 2 metric originate. This is useful if you want all traffic leaving a specific. So that doesn't totally explain. This looks a bit better, but this might look confusing as well to people that don't work with routers on a daily basis. Anyways, let's just quickly jump back and see on router 2, do we actually have internet access out now? Yes, we do. And what we could do is we could do a routing OSPF. And from here, you see the LSAs. We could look at our LSAs and we could print them. And we could see what routes we're learning, what the originator are, the sequence number, all that good stuff. So router, network, AS external, which area it was in, which is actually quite useful. If we also go into the actual routing table, so let's say I see here is a route being learned from the OSPF. If I look at the attributes, I can see if it's intra area, extra, all that type of stuff, which is actually quite useful. Alright, so we've got a default route out. Let's mess around with some OSPF on the Juniper. I need to figure something else out quickly. So you see, this is what this wonderful Google machine is for. Let's just say loopback address Juniper. Hello 0. Okay, that's actually quite simple. That's not as difficult as I thought it would be. It's actually quite similar to the Cisco even. I might just move this to the right so I can have a clear look at the config. So all that we're going to do is we're going to go into our CLI. Well, we're there already. We're going to go in our config mode, and we are going to edit glow. All right, so never mind. Edit groups. Global interfaces, LO0, unit 0, family, inet. And then we can go set address 9994/32. Commit. And let's just quickly see if I go out of here, I go out of there, and I do it this show interface chars. Do I see an LO interface? I'm not seeing that. Grep LO. Okay. So to see that didn't do anything. Configure. Let's just set interfaces L0. I'm pretty sure the documentation had it right. Using host IP address, assign it to loopback address. Each host in your network deployment should have a unique loopback interface. So I need an example, so that's fine. So we went into config and then we edit groups interface. Family address, but there it's got the address. I wonder. Quit. Let's create a different allo actually. Configure, edit groups global. Interfaces LO. Unit. Let's make it 1. Family inet. Address. We can make that 9994. Commit. Quit. Commit. Quit. Show interface truth. Where is LO0? LO1 I mean. And this is now me being completely I want to say silly on Juniper. I don't see what I'm doing different, but I'm clearly making a mistake. No, but I shouldn't have to commit there. Show. Edit groups global interface. Family iNet. This all looks good to me. Alright, we'll figure that out in a bit. I don't want to sit and struggle with that because we're going to struggle with the OSPF just now. So all that we're going to do is also Juniper OSPF setup. And this is all the documentation directly from Juniper. So they'll give us some nice examples and all that good stuff. Okay, configure the interface. So we have already gotten interfaces configured, which is fine. We need to add the area. So let's do that. So let's just go into our config mode. We are doing edit protocols OSPF. Our area. Which should be there by default, actually. This stuff I'm just going to copy almost. I didn't like that. Set security. Why does it not like this? That's just for NBMA. It's not what we want. I wonder, show. Okay, we're not learning anything there. No, I don't want to go in there. Protocols, OSPF. Let's try that. Look at our EOIP topology, G, like that. Let's see how this would. Well, that's the OSPF multicast address. I'm sorry if it's if we're at a point where it seems confusing, because we're just on Juniper trying to establish this as an OSPF neighbor towards our Cisco and MikroTik. No SRX. I want to test something though. Let's just go back to this top. So there we set. It's just this stuff. Go into the config mode. Let's just see. Set security zones. Okay, it doesn't like that. Let's maybe go into this OSPF. Edit protocols. This isn't right. Security. It's a study that it was so simple on the Cisco and MikroTik, and now there's so much on the Juniper. But I'm trying to do that and it's not taking the command. But I'm in the, let's say the global or the root configuration now. And if I try and do a set security, like that I can do. But it's not giving me the options for zones. Like that. Because I can read on the documentation, it's also kind of like asking to do that. Like there. And this is really just so that I can learn the routes from my neighbors. Like I wonder if the OSPF is even connecting. I wonder, can we check that? Let's just quit this. Show. How do I check protocols? Show OSPF. Neighbor. I don't have any neighbor. OSPF overview. So there we don't have the router ID set, it's just picked up a router ID for itself. We have 0 neighbors up. This is pretty frustrating. Show routers. Before I do that, did I add any networks on the MikroTik though? Let's just do that. I'm pretty sure I haven't even done that yet. So that OSPF will never work if I haven't done that. Routing OSPF network print. No, I have not added that. So let's just add that so long. Routing OSPF network. Dude, if this works, I'm going to be so I'm going to be so mad. It should work because I haven't had the config on this router. I think I was just so focused on the freaking Juniper. Routing OSPF network equals. So we're just adding one additional network, and that network is 10.169.212. 10.169.212/30 on our area backbone. Let's just check our routes. Albin, I'm so silly. I think I'm just tired, guys, to be honest. So I haven't actually set up the OSPF on the neighbors, which is why it's not working. That actually makes a lot of sense if you think about it. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I think it makes a ton of sense. Let's see, can I ping out to Google? Wow, I can get out to Google. Oh my lord. I think I just overhyped myself because I've worked a lot on Juniper. I just haven't worked on it recently, so I guess I'm a bit fuzzy in things, and I'm trying to like over complicate it in my head how to set the things up. Alright, cool, but that's working. So we do have OSPF configured on this as a backbone. Let's maybe add a nice little something here. Make it a nice little shape. Square rounded. Make it 2. Dash it. Give it a nice, I don't know, I like purple. Purple's such a nice color. You can leave the background white. And you will be OSPF area 0. Let's just duplicate this text, make this way bigger, and maybe make that also. Maybe we could do that. Make the size big and call you area 0. There we go, that looks nice. So area 0 is doing its thing, it's working, it's learning OSPF routes. And we got the 3 different vendors in, which is awesome stuff. Awesome stuff indeed. I wonder, can we actually look at the LSAs and stuff from the Juniper as well? I'm sure we'll just do a show OSPF. What happens if we say route? These are just the routes we're learning, which makes sense. Okay, that makes sense as well. If we look at the overview now, I wonder what will we see. Overview. Okay. So now we have one in up. And we don't have two in up because we haven't configured the Cisco yet. So let's just maybe configure the network on the Cisco as well, which should be quick. Hit enter, enable, config T, router OSPF 1. This is what I like about FortiGate though. You do show and it just shows you what the config is under. And it's the same on Juniper. I don't know if you guys saw that. Like when we're in a configuration section, if you just show, it shows you what's in that section. Here we just want to do a network. And our network is 10.169.2.0 dot, I think 16. On a 255.252 mask on the area 0. Let's WR that. And I can already see that peer came up. And if I look at my Juniper, I now have 2 neighbors in an upstate. Alright, that's awesome. Oh, yeah. Wait, hang on. Let me go on to the Cisco. I'm curious. Config T. Int E. So I get what you mean. If I do show, then it will still do that because but I get what you mean. So if you do like a do show int E00, it will show you that interface. So I get that you could run a do command from the Cisco's config mode, but my what I'm liking is if I go into like the interface on the Juniper and I do a show, then it will show me that specific interface configuration. Similar like on the MikroTik, if I go to, let's say, R2, and if I go into IP address and I do a print here, then I just see this section's configuration instead of like all the config. Yeah, Alvin, I am a bit tired. I think I might actually call the lab now. It's maybe an hour sooner than what I usually do, but I don't want to like overpress things. And I think we have achieved quite a bit. I mean, we did bring up the EOIP tunnel in the previous lab, and we played around with some BGP in RouterOS v7, as well as getting this OSPF working. One thing I want to do before I knock off on the lab though. So I know I said I'm going to knock off, but I just quickly want to test something out and see if this all works. Bear with me, this might take a good 15 minutes again, but it'll be worth it when you see the end result. So what I want to do is I am quickly just going to go onto router 1. I don't have that here. I might not do everything. I'll do it just like it's a bit slower actually. So let's just do an export here. I'm just going to grab all of this config quickly. I'm going to jump onto Notepad. Throw this here, and you're going to see in a second what I'm going to try and do. Take that stuff out, bring that stuff there. And this is going to look a lot like orchestration now. Well, not orchestration, more or less like if you've ever run a playbook on Ansible and you've seen like code or config just being copied over to equipment, like this is what we're going to do with Eve now. And this is what I'm going to use to start sharing my labs with members on YouTube. We just want to copy this bit System identity, set name R1, and then tool Ramon, set enabled yes. Alright, this looks good to me. I might take out that bit. No, that should be fine actually. Let's just test this. Though I know I tested earlier and it worked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my startup configs on router 1. I'm just going to paste this in here, save this, turn that on, and then what we're going to do is shut this all down. I might check that out. I'm not too comfortable with MikroTik scripting. I've made, like, you know, you've done those silly scripts like play music, like the Star Wars theme song or whatever. Some scripts that I've added which were nice was stuff that like finds a BGP neighbor that's gone into a open send state, and then it would just recreate the connection. That's always nice. Where is this? The last lab we made was this OSPF lab, which is not MikroTik OSPF lab, it is more. So I just want to grab this and I want to export this. I'm going to save this to my downloads. And then what I want us to do is actually shut down Eve. So go here, root Eve, shut down, -h now. And once this is shut down, I'm actually just going to connect onto my community edition. And we're going to import that same lab into community and see if stuff works. Oh, I can see my head is like being cut out from the preview of the video. Alright, let's try this. Root Eva. Alright, this is 192.168.74.10. 192.168.74.10. Admin Eve. Let's just close this lab. And let's import a lab. And there's the lab that we exported. Uploaded. And there is MikroTik OSPF lab. The only downside is I don't have those images, so I'm not sure if this will actually work. I'm pretty sure these devices will not work since I don't have the images. But router 1, I am pretty sure will. So let's just start up router 1. But you see it's retained everything from Pro. I'm going to open this up, but this is something that I want to like stress to people when I actually start to provide the lab templates. When you use stuff like the startup script on Eve, don't touch anything until that icon becomes a play, like a play symbol, because it's essentially now doing all this stuff in the backend. So if you accidentally press something, you mess up the code that it's trying to copy across. Because you'll see it's going to essentially be running all of the commands that I put in that startup config just now when it logs in. So if I like hit stuff like this while it was doing that, it would have broken it. Like there you see it was even trying to quit. So if I log in admin blank, if I do an IP address print, my IPs are there. If I do a routing OSPF print, my OSPF's there. So everything's there that I expect to be. Awesome. So we can, with confidence, say we can export labs from Pro and bring them into EVNG Community Edition so everybody can have a good time. So it's not just like if I export labs, only EVNG Pro people can use the labs. Anyways guys, that is all that I wanted to say. I am going to wrap up the video now. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. I do hope you have a good day, evening, morning, whatever the time might be where you are. And I'll catch you in the next stream and or video. So see you all around. Bye bye.